Point. I'm Kartikeya Sharma. In the first on point, we discussed the Shaksgam standoff and the strategic significance of the valley for India vis-a-vis Siachen glacier. In the second on point, we discussed CCP meeting with BJP and RSS in the backdrop of the Shaksgam row. Let's take a quick look at the headlines. Army Chief General Dwivedi lauds Operation Sindoor, Operation Mahadev, Tri-Surface Synergy and Counter-Terror Success and Annual Briefing. Delhi Police transfers Bangladeshi infiltration case to NIA. FIR includes criminal conspiracy, forgery and Foreigners Act violations. MHA submits status report on digital arrest in SC. 13-member committee formed to probe scams. Blinkit removed its 10-minute delivery promise across all platforms following intervention by Union Ministry of Labour. Rahul Gandhi slams INB Ministry for move to block Jana Nayaga and calls it an attack on Tamil culture. India on 9 January issued a sharp warning to China and Pakistan over illegal infrastructure activity in the Shaksgam Valley. India called it violation of its sovereignty. The Ministry of External Affairs in clear words said, Shaksgam is Indian territory and today we will decode the importance and truth behind the Shaksgam issue.
Shaksgam Valley is Indian territory. We have never recognized the so-called China-Pakistan boundary agreement that happened in 1963. We have consistently maintained that the agreement is illegal and invalid. We do not recognize the so-called China-Pakistan economic corridor either, which passes through Indian territory that is under forcible and illegal occupation of Pakistan. The entire Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral and inalienable part of India. This has been clearly conveyed to Pakistani and the Chinese authorities several times. We have consistently protested with the Chinese side against attempts to alter the ground reality in Shaksgam Valley. We further reserve the right to take necessary measures to safeguard our interests.
China, as usual, rejected India's rightful objection, claiming Shaksgam belongs to Beijing and that it projects there are very much justified. Whereas the fact is that it was ceded by Pakistan to China.
First of all, the territory you have mentioned are part of China's territory. And China's infrastructure activities in its own territory is beyond reproach. China and Pakistan have signed border agreement and determined the border between the two countries since the 1960s. These are rights of China and Pakistan as sovereign states. And the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor as an economic cooperation initiative aims to promote local economic and social development and improve people's livelihood. Such agreement and China-Pakistan economic
Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi backed MEA's position, saying any China-Pakistan activity in Shaksgam is unacceptable.
India considers 1963 agreement between Pakistan and China as illegal. Therefore, any activity in Shaksgam Valley is concerned, we do not approve of it, and in this terms, MEA has already issued this statement. Therefore, the joint statement which has been issued in China, what I understand about the CPEC 2.0, we do not accept it, and we consider that it is an illegal action which is being carried out by the two nations.
The Shaksgam Valley, also known as the Trans-Karakoram Tract, is strategically sensitive region spread over 5,200 square kilometers. It sits at the crossroads of India, Pakistan and China. The Shaksgam Valley was illegally ceded by Pakistan to China in 1963. The territory was originally part of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, but after Pakistan's illegal occupation of parts of Kashmir in 1948, it went on to sign a border agreement with China in 1963, handing over thousands of square kilometers of Indian territory it had no legal right to give away. The Shaksgam Valley sits at the junction of China, Pakistan and India's Siachen front. Just 50 kilometers from Indian position, it links China to POK and lies along key military and logistics routes, making it a major strategic flashpoint. Shaksgam is the valley through which China's CPEC project crosses into Gilgit-Baltistan region. Now let's understand how Shaksgam connects directly to Siachen and why it matters to India. Siachen is India's strategic shield. Shaksgam sits on the right side of the Siachen. From the Saltoro Ridge, Indian forces dominate Gilgit-Baltistan of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and it protects Nuh, Lubra, Leh corridor. It is for this reason any construction on north of Siachen is a big concern for India. Pakistani forces sit on the front and the south of the glacier. It is this militarization on the north that is a cause of grave concern, which China is saying its CPEC 2.0 version. Thus, the Chinese construction in Shaksgam Valley poses a direct challenge to India's Siachen positioning. So the big question is, how can India address this CPEC security challenge, which is CPEC 2.0? I am joined by Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, former General Officer Commanding in Chief Indian Army and the President of the Information Security Council of India, and Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar, former DG Artillery and Defence and geopolitical expert. Thank you both of you gentlemen for joining me. Let me straight away go to General Sahni first. General Sahni, can you please decode this militarization that is taking place in Shaksgam through CPEC 2.0 version?
I think, good evening, Karthikeya. Good to be here on your show. And as I would say, first time I'm coming in the new year, wish you a happy new year. So the subject that you're talking about is something which is a little more challenging. The first thing that comes to mind, let us just go back to 2020 and see that what happened in Galwan has created a challenge for ourselves, because the Chinese forces, which used to sit somewhere around Rinchi, 400 kilometers, have moved forward and created forward bases. When you link this forward deployment post, which already exists along that border opposite us in Ladakh and eastern Ladakh, when you look at, as you correctly said in your geographical positioning, the Shaksgam Valley does become important more so when militarization is happening, when we look at it in the whole landscape starting from Ladakh, moving towards from all the way up to Shaksgam Valley. So I think the question that you have raised, yes, it is a matter of concern. Yes, the armed forces are very clear, and the reiteration of the country's standing system, which says that this is illegally occupied, and that was one of the reasons that we have against the CPEC. So I think this current militarization will have to be seen to ensure. Fortunately, a lot of activity has happened in India where we have, I would say, multiple lines of communication now available to be able to look at the Siachen Valley. But I think going back to the historical claim, may I just put it that the challenge that exists with the Shaksgam Valley being under the current sway of the Chinese and their CPEC passing through it will create issues of security. And I think our border management will have to be a little more stringent and will have to be a little more effective to cater for this. In the current manner, while we continue exercising our claim on it, I think we will have to take actions which will ensure that our protection is done. The only problem is that fait accompli as it exists today. This is something that is happening, and we'll have to take necessary cognizance as far as our security paradigm is concerned. And maybe that is the reason why the chief made that statement that our claim on it remains. Any activity there, which is a military activity which takes place, is something which is against the current standing of what the government says, and is also has a security implication as far as India is concerned.
Okay.
We can take more specific questions later.
Okay. General Shankar, your opening comments on this development on Shaksgam Valley, which is happening in the so-called CPEC 2.0 version, which is primarily about, on the face of it, in a very effete way, which China says is second phase of the infrastructure project, which links the special economic zones, digital connectivity, agricultural modernization, connecting mining sites for resources like lithium, and aiming to embed Pakistan further into the Chinese economic sphere with potential expansion into Afghanistan, blah, 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 blah. But the real aim or real intention, I think, sir, remains something different.
Yeah. At the outset, thanks a lot, Karthikeya, for inviting me over.
So it's a pleasure to have you.
And a very happy new year to you and all viewers of TV9. Right. At the outset, I'd like to put one thing across. There's nothing to flap about. It's not a great earth-shaking kind of a development which is taking place. The Chinese and the Pakistanis have always tried to build an alternative to the existing CPEC route. The existing CPEC route goes over the Karakoram Pass, which is to the west of the Shaksgam Valley, which you've seen. And the Shaksgam Valley, east to west, is over about 175 kilometers. That's the first part. The second thing is, as per the agreement between Pakistan and China of 1963, the ultimate, the status of the Shaksgam Valley will be decided when the status of Kashmir is decided between Pakistan and India. So China actually at this point of time does not have a leg to stand on. So we have to take that into consideration. Yeah, so all their construction there is illegal, is something which we need to put across. I mean, this is as per their agreement, not what we are claiming. The third point is for a long time, the alternate route to the CPEC, because on this main CPEC, the Pakistanis and the Chinese have been fighting, and that road is pretty unstable. For instance, in 2025, for a good about 3 months, it was closed, and that was not a CPEC at all, and there were a lot of riots also on that area. So they're trying to develop an alternative route. This alternative route, a little bit of geography. The Shaksgam Tract lies between the Great Karakoram Range, which is to the south, and the Agil Range, which is to the north. Right? Most of the Chinese communications pass north of the Agil Range. What the Chinese are trying to do is get a road down from a place called Masa down to a Agil Pass, which is a well-known pass on the Agil Range. And that pass comes down to Shaksgam River, cross the Shaksgam Valley, cross the Great Karakoram, and then go to a place called Shigar to Skardu to Devsai and to Astor, which completely bypasses the existing route, right? So, but this is, at this point of time, still a wishful thing because they have to cross the Karakoram at a place called the Mustaq Pass. And Mustaq Pass at this point of time, in these days, is fully, under snow, 365 days. What their hope is that as global warming takes place, environmental change takes place, this pass will open up. Because this was one of the old caravan routes, to Yarkand from Gilgit-Baltistan. So they're banking on that to open up. The road on either side is okay. They have to cross the Shaksgam Valley. Basically, they have to cross the area between the Agil Pass and Mustaq Pass, which is tough. So that's why I said it's not But, like you said in the beginning, the northernmost point of our Siachen Glacier is a place called the Indra Col.
Yes, sir.
From the Indra Col, there's a glacier which goes down to the Shaksgam Valley, which is called the Urdog Glacier. The Urdog Glacier is about 50 kilometers in length, and 50 kilometers and you're in the Shaksgam. Now, the Chinese for a long time have been constructing this road And this road has got an extension to the east also. To the east means coming to the base of the Irdog glacier. And the Chinese do patrolling out there. So the question then comes is, why are they coming there? Right? And if they can, once the CPC2 starts, this road forms in future, this might be a threat from the north to the Siachen glacier. It's not a matter of people moving into the Siachen glacier, attacking our positions and all. That's not feasible because that area only lends itself to small-time operations, small party operations. It's very difficult terrain. And once you hit the Indra Call, it's very steep going down to the Urdog glacier. Okay. But the more important thing is you can get firepower up to there. The moment you get firepower up to there, and they have built roads on the west of the Karakoram Pass on the other side, from the Depsang side. Actually, that's also on the other side. There's a place called Zindu Kili. There's a lake out there. And that's just behind the, Siachen Glacier. And there's a proper road already coming there. So these road arteries, once infrastructure developed, the problem is they can deploy long-range fire from there, which so far they have not had the capacity to do so. So far, the Pakistanis and the Chinese were kept apart by the Siachen Glacier. And the fact that, they could only come and attack the Siachen Glacier or the Saltoro Ridge and, the DBO route, I'm now going to the Chushul belt, the Galwan area. They could only attack it from the Depsang side, or the Pakistanis had to come from the east via the Kunduz Glacier and the glaciated area. It was a tough ask. These roads which are coming through the Shaksgam Valley and this area I called the Zindul Keli, which is coming from the north, gives a third opening. And that is what we need to worry. It's not a threat today. Let me put it across very clearly. It's a threat for tomorrow, day after, and the next generation, right? And the CPEC2 coming through this area is also not a good idea. It's far too close to our area. And I think we need to take into consideration all these and adjust our strategic positions accordingly.
General Shankar, right. The entire matrix, global matrix is changing because of the climate change. Why does Americans want Greenland? There's a thaw in Arctic, Arctic roof of the world. The entire military operations are happening because Arctic is not freezing. So similarly, Siachen also undergoes the same process.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at. The process is they're doing it futuristically. Now, what do we do? I mean, the way I look at it is, what do we do? Are you going to just keep sitting, or you must do something? My way of looking at it is look, as far as I'm concerned, the entire J&K, Gilgit-Baltistan and POJK, they are ours. Politically, we should reach out to them. Put a political stake on it. Give people from those areas a say in your day-to-day life. Get them to attend your, legislatures. There we have seats kept vacant for them. People from this side of this thing should reach out there. And you have to have a political outreach. And a political outreach is something which the Chinese and the Pakistanis both are scared of. Right? And that's something which we have not done so far.
Okay. So
it is just not military.
Okay, you are saying that there are other options that can be exercised. General Sani, we were talking about the challenges it poses to Siachen Glacier in future. Your thoughts on it, as the glaciers melt, as the climate change changes the topography, new passes emerge in terms of connectivity. What should be the Indian response, sir?
I think I have to say Shankar put it down quite succinctly, the layout and the geography as it goes. So, as you said, if there is an impact of climate change, which is undoubtedly happening as we are talking today, how long will it take for it to actually have an impact and create new axes which will be open for being able to come and create a multi-pronged kind of a threat as far as India is concerned with the challenge that comes up. So I think I would reiterate, I think what Shankar said, the fact that there is nothing to worry about in the immediate future. our strategic options can continue to remain, should become more politically relevant. You're looking about deterrence and you're looking at options that exist to be able to ensure that you have the eyes and ears and the capacity to be able to monitor these events. I think that bit of activity will have to be of a much higher order, given priority in your functioning, and maybe look at the other options that come up subsequently, which has always been there, where the Baltis and the people from Baltistan have always reached out, or Gilgit has always reached out. There is a certain affinity on the not really, I would say, on the socio-cultural spectrum that exists, and including the kind of religious linkages that exist with them. I think those need to be exploited to a far greater extent. Undoubtedly, currently, the country's policy remains that we have not been interfering in other areas in a manner that is overt or in a manner that has been very would be is overt. But I think there is a time now, as India moves into becoming a middle income nation, becomes one of the key components in the future global world order, that we should start looking at ensuring that our near abroad and our extended abroad, we do have some kind of a say to ensure that our security interests are maintained. And I think that is the path we'll have to follow on a long-term strategy. Undoubtedly, the threat exists, but currently, as I said, we will have to, nothing which is going to really be earth-shaking than otherwise. The point that remains really bring out, when I go back to two issues. The current CPEC passes through the Khunjerab Pass, which comes through this thing. If you get where he was interested in Ladakh and wanting to come towards the Karakoram, he cuts down his complete, I would say, his infrastructure development by over 400 to 500 kilometers, which is through hard terrain. And if you see it, if you make a route to Karakoram coming down, which of course is within the bird's eye view of DBO and beyond, and our people do keep going down and keeping that area under watch. The final aim of linking Eastern Ladakh to Shaksgam is the fact that you can increase, one, as far as China is concerned, cut down the routes through these very difficult terrains and make it far easier for him to have the connectivity. The second thing, of course, remains in the overall aim that Pakistan is interested in trying to sort of reassert its claim and have better capabilities to be able to make a difference as far as the border situation and the external security threat is concerned in that area. So I think leaving it at today, I would just sum it up by two things. We have to keep an eye. We need to increase our surveillance systems. We need to increase, maybe other options have to be looked at very seriously to ensure that there are leverages that you create which can facilitate your, I would say, your kinetic actions with non-kinetic actions. That would be the area of interest. And I think relook at the Eastern Ladakh's infrastructure development so that we have multiple methodologies by which we can address those areas if threats develop, with climate change being the that's coming into play.
Okay. General Shankar, very quickly, do you think that in near future there can be a squeeze from both the sides on Siachen?
It's not so easy. I would say not in the near future, but a little beyond that, maybe 10 years, 15 years. It's not only a squeeze from both sides. The thing is that the threat could come from the top also, right? As the infrastructure increases in the top, especially in the Shaksgam Valley and from the eastern part through the Karakoram, beyond the Karakorams, in fact, beyond the Karakoram Pass, there is a route which comes almost up to the top of the Siachen Glacier. And he's trying to link that up. That's what General Sani was also mentioning. If that linkage comes up, it is just not two sides. You will have to contend with the threat from the top. Even it might be minuscule, but you have to contend with it. And my way of looking at it is, if you keep quiet today, he'll continue doing it. So you have to transfer the political action that side. Why I'm saying political action again? China responds to political actions. Pakistan responds to political actions. Political actions keep the Pakistani army out of the loop. That's what happened when you enacted Article 370. It was a political strike. And that political strike hit China and Pakistan more than all your military strikes. You have to take political actions and transfer your center of gravity to POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan. also remember that there is a lot of unrest in Gilgit-Baltistan. I did make a point that the CPEC was closed for more than 90 days.
Absolutely.
And part of the reason was not whether it is, fighting between the Chinese people and the Pakistanis there. I won't say the Pakistanis, the Gilgitis, right? Gilgit and Baltistan people. There are videos in social media where people are throwing stones at each other.
Absolutely, sir.
So I think we have a lot to do. We just can't keep sitting on our haunches in this area.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I've really run short of time, but very well put up, because ultimately what happens in next 10 years, 15 years, because of global climate change, is bound to affect, change, realign our security priorities. Thank you for joining me. This is all I had on the first on point. But to my viewers, don't go away. On the second on point, we'll discuss the CCP, meet with the BJP, RSS, and even the Congress with the Chinese delegation. Can they be trusted? After the break.
लूजर।
लाइफ हो या इन्वेस्टिंग, ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस से नुकसान भी हो सकता है। म्यूचुअल फंड अपनाओ और थोड़ी हेवी लिफ्टिंग एक्सपर्ट्स को भी करने दो।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से संबंधित सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।